Hi, it's Joy at Joyful 9802, thought catalyzer and connector of the inspired dots, bringing you Random Acts of Education, episode 18. So today's topic is taking responsibility, and it's a little different than my usual format, but because it wasn't what I was planning on doing for episode 18, but something happened today, nothing major, and it triggered a memory about a certain quote that a friend used to say to me all the time. And when she used to say it, it always struck me and it always made me pause and think a little bit. And it did the same thing again today. And that quote is, "May others not see more in you than you see in yourself." And the context that she used to share that with me was, it was in my I was in my early 20s, I was working, and she would just say that on occasion just as a way to remind me to not undervalue my gifts and my talents and what I was offering, and to really realize that I was making a contribution, and to not undersell myself and not sort of like get taken advantage of or taken to the cleaners. And at first blush, this type of code is something that, when you start to get a hold of it and sort of like wrestle with it, you can start to feel angry and begin to feel like a victim and feel a lot of righteous indignation about all the terrible people out there who are taking advantage of people who don't know better, and like using their gifts, using their talents, using their time, their money, or whatever. And you can really, build a case around it, and begin to see yourself as a victim. And, that's not what I think this quote is about. I think this quote really is about learning to take responsibility. And, and I feel challenged, I felt challenged then, but I feel even more challenged now about that. And it made me think today about how it, made me think, Joy, what are the ways in which you've been irresponsible? How have I been irresponsible with my gifts and with my talents and with my time? How have I been irresponsible with the spaces that I occupy and the places that I choose to go, and the communities that I choose to be a part of? How have I been irresponsible with the people who I choose to bring around me or have around me? Like, have I really been, responsible, or have I been irresponsible? And, if you're blaming other people for your choices and your decisions, that's probably a good sign that you really are being irresponsible, and that and for me, I sort of started to realize, I'm like, this sort of blaming and placing myself in a story where I'm the victim and I'm not the one who's acting, but others are acting in that space, and I'm sort of like just reacting. Maybe, Joy, maybe that's a cover up for my own cowardice. Maybe I in those situations I was too much of a coward to change. I was too much of a coward to speak up for myself, and say, this doesn't work for me, this isn't right, and and to just simply state that and to make a change and walk into another direction, right? Because this is not to blame the victim, but when you're betrayed, sometimes you have to ask yourself, did I not betray myself first? When you're used, you have to ask, did I not present myself as something or someone who could be used? Did I not just use myself first? When you're abused, sometimes you have to ask, did I abuse myself first? And this is not to blame the victim, because if someone steps on your foot, you're not responsible for that. You can't help that. But you can move your foot out of the way for the second time. You can say, that's not right. You can walk out the door. And I think sometimes we get into righteous indignation and anger and a lot of like shouting in our heads, and a lot of, this shouldn't be, and this is wrong, and this person has done wrong, and this person's a terrible person, because we're afraid to choose. We're afraid to make a choice in response, and to deal with the consequences of that choice. Sometimes we're afraid to walk away and close the door on a certain part of our life. And so we'd rather stay and shout and be angry. And it looks like we're doing something. It looks like we're responding to the situation, but we're not. We're just sort of standing still, and we're loudly afraid. And so this quote, I just don't know, for some reason today, it just sort of struck me again. And I just really felt a new challenge to take responsibility for myself, and to take responsibility for my choices and how I respond to all the different challenges and things and situations that come up in my life, and to stop playing the victim. and to make a move and to do, rather than to look for permission before I do something, or expecting other people to value what I value, and before I value it myself. So a little different from what I had intended for today, but I hope that it's something that has inspired you and that's food for thought. And please do share your comments in the comment section. So that's my random act of education for today. Hope to see you next time.